Not for nothing, but the future of platform fighters does look pretty bright from what I've seen. A ton of competitive sorts of games are coming out, such as like Rivals 2, Combo Devils, Stick Figures, Fractured Transients, all of that. Also, it's not really being talked about, but there's actually a lot of platform fighters that are going for more single-player aspects about the games and to flesh it out there, so future is looking good. But it's just too bad that another L sneaks its way to the platform fighter scene. Riot Games! Apparently, they have shelved a potential platform fighter by the name of Pool Party. Now, in order to get through this, let's go over the reason why it was disbanded first of all, and how this relates to the sort of bad history that platform fighters have that I'm kinda sick of. Let's go over the big reason why it disbanded first. If it wasn't the reason, it is still one of the big reasons apparently, so here it is. Riot Games believe that Multiverses was not doing well and that consumers may not have a great desire for a similar title. This is the most ass-backwards thing that I've really ever heard ever. So you see someone is doing not so well in that sort of aspect. So instead of trying to figure out why it didn't do so well, or maybe even capitalize on the fact that it didn't do well by doing your own, you decide to not invest into it. So let me give you an example. There's an ice cream store, right? It's the worst ice cream store that you've ever seen. The decor is ass, the employees suck, and the ice cream is bad tasting. This ice cream store, because it's so bad, what it does is that it faded into oblivion where no one could ever see it again. Now, do you take that information and you then just say, oh yeah, because that store failed, yeah, ice cream is just not it. It will never ever be it and you should just stop. Do you now realize how stupid that is? The problem wasn't the fact that Multiverses was a platform fighter. The problem with Multiverses was everything else. I will not accept the sort of opinion that Multiverses is too slow only because that's a kind of a difference in opinion and different platform fighters that have different system mechanics and that should exist. So I won't accept that. Everything else though is kind of on the table. Monetization is still bad because you have to do a whole lot of nothing just to potentially get anything free in the game. Meanwhile, that's the point so that you just fork over the money anyway. A lot of the skins are already just expensive anyway. I don't know why that's a thing. Rifts are boring as hell. There's literally no reason in order to do anything. Not only that, a lot of the things that weren't there beforehand, such as you going to training mode and actually trying some of the new characters, even if you haven't bought them, I think that might have been solved, but not doing that on launch was pretty bad. And this is what I mean. Everything around Multiverses was the problem. It wasn't the fact that it was a platform fighter at all. So to hear the argument that, oh, Multiverses failed, so people don't want platform fighters. No, people want platform fighters. They just want good ones. It makes it even worse because like they're gonna have real egg on their face if Rivals 2 is just everything everyone wants. Imagine having a statement like this and then like literally maybe give it 6 months and Rivals 2 just hops on the scene and just dominates. Imagine doing all that, getting rid of potentially 70 to 80 workers to go on other games when you could have had a backlog game that you could have actually gotten funds with and could have still done skins with. You could have made it a better experience than Multiverses. Again, this logic is just dumb. Why would you not? It just makes sense for you to actually be, I don't know, the person to do it right so you can get those fans that have been waiting for a platform fighter in order to play. But I guess not. I guess we just gotta just keep taking L's, I guess. Alright, cool. We've gotten that out of the way. Now let's talk about the second sort of discussion that we kind of have to have. I was going to bring this up in a sort of sequential thing about like things that platform fighters have had to deal with compared to fighting games in general, but I'll just bring it here because it's kind of related to what's going on. Platform fighters, or one of the reasons why platform fighters haven't been as developed as traditional fighters, I don't really think it's just for the fact that games are just subpar compared to the other group. I think it's because they never usually have the chance. You don't really notice it now because this decision was probably made when I was like 8 or 10. But if you actually get into the history of platform fighters, like for 10, maybe even 15 years, you kind of notice that a lot of potential platform fighters have either been meddled with or they were canceled. For example, everyone talks about PlayStation All-Stars. I don't think it's too related to this one, but I'll bring it up anyway. A lot of people bring up the fact that, rather than they just wish that the super mechanic wasn't really there and it was just a regular sort of Smash experience, and that's fine. I get that. I honestly don't know why PlayStation All-Stars 2 isn't a thing at this point, considering the amount of things that they already have and what they can give to people, but I digress. In that game, the reason why that it failed is because it has potential and it just squanders it. But that's not really what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is platform fighters throughout the years that have been kind of fucked over by either higher ups or just being canceled regardless. For example, Punch Time Explosion, right? Punch Time Explosion was made by people that do like platform fighters, and I believe they also had things that involve like Project M and things like that. I think Neutral actually talked about that in the podcast. But either way, this Punch Time Explosion, right, was going to be an experience for platform fighters in general, and it was going to be an actually good game. And the only reason why it's not, and it's dog ass like it is now, well, I say now, you can't really play it, but who cares? The reason why it was so bad was because higher-ups wanted it just to not be what it really wanted to be, and to just squander it and be something else. That's one. I'll talk about other things, and then we'll put a bow on this idea later. But let's talk about other stuff as well. We're talking about the Toho platform fighter that's coming out in about 1, maybe 2 years, but almost a decade beforehand, there was actually one coming, and the only reason why it wasn't made was because they didn't get the rights to the thing beforehand. I think that was a stupid decision, but whatever. It was just canceled because of that. So we have that as well. What about Air Dash Online? Air Dash Online looked like the development was going and it was cooking, and they actually had mechanics. They went to tournaments for people to play, and apparently the person that I think was the head, or maybe this might be misinformation, but someone in the group apparently took that money and just fucking left. Not only that, but you don't even have the code for the game, so you can't even play it, even if it was a demo or something like that. So off rip, it was basically just canceled because of greed at that point. Earth Romancer was basically canceled because it was too much for the developer, and at that point, it's not really on anyone. It's especially if you're the only one developing it or getting not a lot of help. That makes sense. All right, software, where is this going? Okay, this is where it's going, right? For a long time throughout the years, platform fighters have been getting canceled or have been getting pushed off for it not to be developed anymore. And it's a really bad shame because these things, if they were early enough in development, could have changed the way how we see platform fighters or how platform fighter games are today. If Cartoon Network already had its own platform fighter series and it was even subpar in being successful, we could have had a series that's been going on for the past 10 to 15 years. And that could have affected everyone else in order to make their own platform fighter series. And something to, maybe not rival Smash, but to actually see that there are more platform fighters in order to play besides Smash. Look at how many people talk about platform fighters now. If they're not talking about them being clones, then all they're doing is saying that they're bad. But if these platform fighters had the chance and weren't canceled, then maybe, just like traditional fighters, we would have the opportunity in order to grow, in order to actually try to filter and make our ideas better, or try to make our genre better. But because they were slipped in the cracks either by greed or other sort of poor circumstance, because of this, we now have a future where platform fighters quite literally have to be the best of the best in order to shake up anything. And also because of the 10 to 15 years that Smash has been here and it hasn't had any sort of competition, now everyone is pointing at Smash for everything when it comes to any platform fighter. If you have Wave Dash, you're just a copy of Melee. If you have shields and ledges, then of course that's a Smash thing. It can't just be a platform fighter thing, just like how blocking and air dashing is just a traditional fighter thing. Every attack that is used ever is apparently just a copy of a sort of Smash character. The list goes on, and the only reason why the list even exists is because there hasn't been any competition and there hasn't been anything going on for the platform fighter scene for the past 10 to 15 years. Of course, and when I say that, I don't mean that in a bad way. You know, there's Slap City, there's Rivals of Aether, you know, there's good platform fighters here. But the fact is that traditional fighters didn't need a lot of things in order to actually make it into the traditional fighter scene. Like, you could have literally been a sort of Street Fighter clone and have like just a little bit of differences into your characters. And then slowly as they went on, they added more things, they added more style, and that's how they got it. But we don't really have that chance anymore. Every single time that you do anything, it is either going to be a comparison or you're just going to be called that you're ass. And that sucks because, you know, it would be really cool if we could have slowed our roll and then made a lot of good stuff rather than doing what we're doing now. And we're basically waiting for Rivals 2 because we practically know that every single person and their mother is going to play it. The only reason... maybe I'll feel differently, but like the only reason why platform fighters right now feel as though that it's going to boom is not only for the fact that new platform fighters are coming out, but it's for the fact that we're finally going to get one game in order for everyone to play it and for everyone to majorly be like, yes, this is good. Now, I know I went on a whole spiel, but how does this relate to what we were talking about beforehand? The reason why I'm talking about this is because canceling platform fighters is not really going to do anything and hasn't done anything but hurt the scene. And it's made even worse because the reasoning for it is dog water. Just because someone did it poorly doesn't mean that you can't do it well. And it's exactly those sort of decision makings of why the platform fighter scene is where we're at right now, and we're basically waiting for 4 to 5 good games to change the landscape of the genre. Rather than doing it slowly, we have to now have people do their very best in order to show the genre that we can actually be there with the big dogs. Simply for the fact that you canceled a project. And time again, this is why I brought up the other thing. Time and time again, it has shown that if we just had a good basis beforehand, maybe we wouldn't have so many people critiquing our games like they have now. They wouldn't be calling us Smash clones. They wouldn't be comparing us to Smash all the time if we actually had our footing into it. But because we're cursed for the fact that we can't had, or we could have had, a good game beforehand and it was just meddled with and canceled, now we're at to where we're at now. Don't get me wrong, we're fine now, but for the past like 5-8 years of like only Smash 4 and only Smash Ultimate and maybe Rivals and maybe Brawlhalla, our future looked pretty screwy. And that's why this Riot Game news like affects me more than anything, because it's like, this is exactly the perpetuation that made it so that we couldn't prosper regardless. Because of corporate meddling, because of the fact that we can't make good decisions, because we can't put the head out of our ass for 1 sec and to actually see how we can do better. No. We just gotta cancel it, nobody wants this, and we'll just leave the community out to dry. Even though that's fucking money! It literally does not make sense in order to put up money like that on the table for the simple fact that someone else failed. Not only that, again, I've talked about it before, but we're just perpetuating the same thing and the same reasons of why platform fighters have been in the dirt for so long. Which makes it bad because other people might do the same thing. There was an article on SNK people or the people in SNK that actually wanted to dabble in this sort of thing. But if they are going to make the same decisions as Riot does for this sort of thing, then guess what? We're not going to get any good platform fighters when we're older. Maybe I'm getting too personal into this, but it's like, yeah, one day I would love children and to, go in and have a job and just one of these days just be with my kids and just play a good platform fighter with them. But how is that future going to fucking exist if like every single moment someone can just cancel it off of that and also have a domino effect on other people in order to make games? It doesn't make sense. I pray that the SNK people do not take this decision to heart, and maybe they're not developing it. I don't know, but it's like, if you are and you still are, just keep developing it. Just make a good game. It really perplexes me that all of this can just be settled by just making a good game instead of just looking at the outset of things. And to people that are making indie platform fighters or want to get into it, how does it make them feel? The fact that even the biggest among us just won't even try for this genre. That you have to have so much courage and so much determination that you have to basically beat all the odds just to even try to be a part of this genre. It sucks. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of things getting canceled. Some for good reasons. I agree. Some for good reasons. Some for not so good reasons, though. And a lot of just corporate meddling. So please, if there's one thing to take away, and this isn't even just for platform fighters. This can be just for games in general. Stop canceling your games and stop canceling them for stupid reasons, because pretty much one of the big reasons of why your game can get any popular or can make an astounding amount of money, guess what? They can be good first. Just stop canceling games, because you don't want to be like this subgenre where basically, because our futures were snatched from us because the past is fucking us in the butt, you don't want to really be like us. You want to have like your own sort of introduction to sort of things and to finally grow slowly. I feel like that with a lot of other things, such as like, Metroidvanias or even arena fighters. I feel so bad for people that want to play arena fighters because people don't even want to really try for the genre, or they keep getting screwed over because of greed. It sucks. It just sucks. Let's just stop canceling games. It's not doing anything for anyone.